That's close to you, isn't it? Spike and Issa?
Yeah, it's just down the road. Yeah.
Oh, do you want to come?
Yeah, I was
Or do you
thinking
want to breathe
about
heavy?
I'm sure I could get you on the guest list. It's not very full.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that would be good. I know Annette won't be there because she's going swimming, but that'll be a guest. You can get me on the guest list.
Now we can discuss that after the show.
I'll make it.
Put you on a guest. This is what happens when you're a VIP.
You can remind me. I'll put
I know. After the show.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Hey, let's start the show because it looks like we interview Mr. Trump for a little bit and then talk with Greg about everything else and all his success.
Yeah. Well, let's just get straight in there then.
This is 2OF Entertainment. What could be more reprehensible than 2 old farts? 3 old farts featuring Dave and Steven and Greg Shapiro with funny ha-ha.
Look at that. Standing ovation.
Yeah. Standing ovation.
Yeah.
And the thing is, look, we've the whole crew's still here. Well, the whole audience is still here since the last show we did. So this is especially for you.
Hey.
Thank you.
David has live audiences now. It helps his ego.
A star is born, and it's not me. So we still got all this lot that's still in here. We've got a coach load of them. They come in for no snobs and knobs. And I told them you were going to be on. And they said, is he a snob or a knob? I said, he's neither.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we'll just stay and see what happens.
So
they're still here.
So welcome. It's been a couple of months. The last time we spoke to you, you were in the French countryside being an aristocrat.
Yeah.
Aristocrat, sorry.
Right.
Yeah, you were doing that. And
rewriting my whole show.
Yes. And now you are the talk of Europe. You are you have an interview in French. You were in Playboy. Not the centerfold, but you were interviewed in Playboy. Let's clarify that. I don't want.
Yeah, I took it back. I took it back when I realized you weren't actually going to be
the centerfold. Okay,
yeah.
You have your television show, which is Something's Funniest Videos. I'm not sure what country they're using. Norway's Funniest Videos or in Amsterdam. Yeah. And then you've got your sold out comedy tour, which apparently David now is going to be a VIP and get to sit in the loo and listen to it. So we're very excited.
Yeah.
So.
I've got 2 U.S. election shows, honestly, and one was at.
I was going to ask you about. Yeah, I was going to ask you about the Boom Chicago one. Were you crying in your beer, or were you? You think?
Right.
This is the best thing ever happened to me. So
the show at Boom Chicago is just called Politically Incorrect, the U.S. election edition. But my solo show that I'm touring around the Netherlands right now, that is called Leaving Trumpland 2.0.
Right.
So that was I had to rewrite it once in July, and I've had to rewrite it again since the 5th of November. So am I leaving Trumpland personally?
You did.
I did. I have done.
You already did. You're in Europe. So what do you think about all of this?
Well, I made a video explainer. I was really impressed. I was inspired by this comedian who came out, I think, on election night. J.L. Colvin. I don't know if you've seen him. He's like Georgetown Law 2004, and now he's a stand-up comedian. But he had a bit about how there's no power bigger in politics than making hurt people feel heard. And I think he talked about Donald Trump being like the grievance Santa Claus, Santa Trump. And so he said he invented that term, and I thought, there's really something with that. And not only was Trump so much better at dealing with this systemic wealth inequality, in America, and people feeling just like generationally the rich keep getting richer and minimum wage is still at $7 an hour. So, Trump basically, convinced so many people, like, even if it's going to be painful in the short term, we'll take the disruptor, please. Right. Yeah. And someone else was saying, even like with Joe Biden, like it's not even failing to listen, but just being typical bad boyfriend behavior. Like, no, it's fine. Inflation is on the way down and the economy is improving. And you know what? We're doing a really good job. That is so toxic and insulting and demeaning to people. So it's just not surprising that there was a huge rejection, or honestly, just people not showing up. Right.
Well, I think people showed up because of the numbers, but this reminded me, and I'll date myself, when Reagan slaughtered Jimmy Carter. If you remember that election, I don't think so do I. I don't think Carter won anything. I mean, like, it was really bad. Like, Reagan just wiped him out.
In terms of the electoral map, I think the worst one was 1984, and like Walter Mondale only got his own home state or something.
Yeah, but because he was driving in the tank. It's just the Democrats had, if you will, no message, and the Republicans, whether the message is good, bad, or indifferent, at least had a message. The only thing I've said, and I've said this, it would have been nice if the Democrats grew some balls, had a message, and did whatever.
So you just would never vote for a woman. I hear you.
I would vote for a woman. I don't care. I mean, whoever's the best qualified.
Yeah.
The only thing I said about Trump is I like some of his policies, all there, love them. They're great. We're getting the Trump bump, love it. My thing is, in 2008, will he leave? If he leaves and democracy stays, then you know what? I'm a happy guy. But in 2030, if he's still president under whatever, then it would be like, I was right. It doesn't matter how prosperous we are, then democracy goes away. Then we're under, like, we have a Putin or whoever.
But Trump's going to be there forever now, because that's what Greg said, because he's called Santa. So he's going to be there forever. I mean, what does Trump Santa sound like? Do we know what Trump Santa would are we going to queue up and sit on his knee? What would that be like?
It's bad Santa, really. Like, you hope
that was a good movie.
Santa's going to be like, yeah, right. Santa's like, ho, ho, ho. What would you like? And Trump is more like, everything is terrible. You're so bad. Every time you feel like you didn't get what you want for Christmas, you're totally right. Everybody, your parents are awful, evil people. We're going to deport your parents. And you'll be the anchor baby, or we won't do family separation, and you can go with them to a country like Guatemala where you've never lived.
Right.
So, well, Mr. Trump, are we going to invite you around for turkey or cats and dogs?
Well, Jesse Waters did not get invited to Thanksgiving. That's for going to make for some very awkward Thanksgivings around America. I was just making a bingo card, a Trump 47 bingo card, because I've already got people sharing stuff with me.
So what's that? What does that look like?
It's Trump 24 spaces, one free space in the middle, but 24 of like worst case scenarios, so that when the U.S. steps out of NATO, I don't have to be like, what? I can just be the satisfaction of ticking a little box.
Oh my God!
If it doesn't happen, then I'll be pleasantly surprised. But even like stepping out of the Paris Climate Accord, like I'm not even putting that on the bingo card. That's like
a given.
And what about this COP thing that's going on? Because I heard this morning that,
the COP thing. What about
29? That's talking about COP 29. He's talking about the climate thing.
Because like the Americans are not there, the Canadians are not there. But the Brits trucked up, and the thing which surprised me is the Taliban have trucked up.
Sure.
So they came, but they think, obviously they think that's more important than the climate. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the way I've heard it was the Taliban is taking the climate more seriously than the United States.
America.
In the United States, Well, but what do you? And you're a big climate guy. So
I am.
When you said
there's just so much good stuff happening that just is maybe under the radar.
But what was funny is because when you said, "Hey, do you want to come on in November?" and you're like, "Yes," and you was like, "But I'm going to come on after the election." I was like, "This is going to be great, whoever wins." So, in with all the climate, the U.S. climate companies here, or that are doing whether it's carbon or batteries or whatever, are the government's already saying next year they're going to cut funding. They're already preparing for it because Trump doesn't believe in global warming or climate, whatever you want to call it. So what's your thought on that?
Well, he hasn't recently. I don't know. I found something. There was just like Twitter X some rumor about how Elon Musk does have the ear. He's like the Elon, the first lady at this point. I saw someone just
according to a spokesman for the US I heard last week or Sunday, I think, on the BBC, Elon Musk is actually Donald Trump's brain. That's how it's now.
Susie Wiles is the first ever female chief of staff. How about that? So we can't have the first female president, but we do get the first female COS. Anyway, so it's kind of a toss-up, maybe, or it's hard to say what will happen. I'm pretty sure, like, step out of the Paris Climate Accord, step out of all this international entanglements or whatever, but in terms of Trump. But if it keeps making money, and here is Elon Musk, who's so heavily invested into Tesla batteries and recharging stations. I don't think Elon is going to turn his back on his own company. And maybe even there would be an opposite effect where, Elon Musk, being the brain, if you will, might even say, climate business is not all bad. And it's entirely possible that we have a huge game change in the United States.
I mean, Trump could say it's all made in America, so it's okay then.
Sure.
It's just climate stuff from not made in the US.
Yeah.
Like windmills and stuff.
Wind turbines coming out of whatever. Yes.
Germany, or Chinese solar panels, that sort of stuff. Because I know Elon Musk had he had invested in companies that were making roof tiling, which had solar panels.
Whatever. Yeah, solar panels that look like roof tiles. So
that could be that's a sort of bubbling under, and that could be a compromise for everybody then.
Bubbling under like oil. I see where you're going with your visual analogies. Well, someone just forwarded me a piece today about how wastewater might be able to become jet fuel. What?
Nice.
Yeah, I thought you'd appreciate that.
Yes. So David, did you read that one, or do you just forward?
I did. Yeah. No, I read it.
David, can you read, or you're just showing the pictures?
Well, I had a nice picture of an airplane and stuff, and it wasn't. I got the crayon. I printed it out and got the crayon. All this stuff. But I originally thought that it was going to be the wastewater from the aeroplanes. That's what I.
That it would be really like a closed circle or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But then, the more you read it, the more you think, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Well. So as far as I know, and as far as I know, the whole future of aviation is really kind of a toss-up right now, and it's one of these industries, like crypto, like quantum, like AI, that someone's going to get ready to corner the market on the future. Now, I think the big debate is aviation going to be like SAF, sustainable synthetic aviation fuel, or will it be more like new electric powered or hydrogen powered propulsion? And there's like some new electric motor that is capable of turning electricity directly into thrust. Haven't read that, but anyway. But so the wastewater, as far as I understand, they take wastewater from like breweries. They take wastewater from agricultural, and they've been making sustainable aviation fuel from used cooking oil, right?
Right.
And that's been for at least 10 years already. It's a small part of the mix, but it's like 70% less CO2 emissions, and I mean that could become the game changer, I suppose, because
it's these really big seller in the South of America because it smells like chicken. People chasing these airplanes everywhere.
Yes,
big old plane farts.
As long as Boeing doesn't design anything, we're fine. Because I think if you have a hydrogen Boeing plane, somewhere between takeoff and landing, it's going to become the Hindenburg. So as long as you get like a real manufacturer doing it, I think you're good. Boeing just has. I know the mechanics went on strike. Mechanics just all came back from strike. But to me, it's more of like you still have to make a plane that flies, and I don't know, doors don't fly off, screws don't come apart, little things like that. So if Boeing's going to do any, or when you launch your spaceship, it should work.
Yeah,
I was watching.
It did work, but only one way.
Well, I was watching a video, and on the way there, one of the astronauts said to mission control, and I laughed because I knew they were safe. But if I had watched this live, I would have been terrified for them.
No,
the astronaut's like, we hear a humming sound coming from wherever. Is that supposed to be?
Yeah.
And you hear the guys at Mission Control going, no, we'll check with Boeing. And then like they come back emphatically, like, no, that's not a good thing. And they're like, oh, we're just wondering, like they're almost at this docking thing. And I'm thinking, I would have been like, just get me off this. I would have been like, stop it, get out in spacesuits, we'll fly the rest of the way. But I mean, so yeah. So until Boeing can actually make a plane again.
Right.
And so when Trump says,
wouldn't that have been funny if they'd have said, hold on, there's a Boeing worker here with a harmonica. You know, I mean, that could, because he forgot to get off.
Thanks for slowing the show up, Dave. So
because he was, he was on strike, so he thought
that was the humming. You mean? Oh,
yeah, the ultimate noise.
Dave, there's one professional comedian on the show, and it's not you. So just so we're aware.
More zings.
Yeah, I know, right?
Let's have some Kill Tony on here.
Yeah, but we do this on every show. But no, so to me, it's fascinating, and I want your take on this.
Oh.
When he says "Make America Great Again," in my opinion, I know, right? But my opinion, America is already great.
Yeah.
Now, and we talked about this, I think, on Lost Dollar. Elon's going to come in. He says he wants to make everything more efficient and cut red tape and get rid of $2 trillion. Good luck. My point is if we make America efficient and we can build America again and built in America, and it means something in my mind that and educate the children properly, right? And do all the stuff that we lost in the 80s and forward, then we're making America great again. So when Trump says make America great again, and since you impersonate him and you do your show, I don't know what that means. And no one still can tell me what that means. I don't think even if we interviewed Mr. Trump, he could tell me what it means.
It is, in a way, that's how it's an effective slogan, because it just means it means something different, to
everybody,
everybody hears their own kind of version of it. And it's like, what do you hate about Trump? What do you love about Trump? It is it's so different. And then the catchphrases. Well, look, there's this whole Project 2025 thing. And so to get at what does make America great again really mean, you read these details of Project 2025, and it's basically, it comes across as religious fundamentalism, get rid of the separation of church and state. That seems to be the main thing. But isn't that kind of what the core message is, at least for the Heritage Foundation people who keep seeing their Messiah, if you will, in Trump? I almost died for sins. Anyway, so the for Dutch people, when they say, where do you get all these religious fundamentalists in America? I tell them, you sent them. They were called pilgrims. And make America New England again, with like the Taliban of New England, the witch trials and whatever, like the original witch trials. They're really good ones. Where you take these difficult women and you light them on fire.
The good old days.
So in a way, that's kind of what I think a lot of people mean when they say that. What is it? And here's Musk trying to cut. Eliminate government waste. He's certainly going to start with, have you seen the chart of all the government agencies that are suing him or punishing him or taking him to court over whatever? I have a feeling he knows which government agencies to start with.
That'll be it. Rip them up.
Really, it's the broligarchs. The one broligarch in particular just bought the fucking U.S. election. He bought the U.S. government. It was a steal. And
for $130 million. Not bad.
Basically, right? Yeah.
That's what he paid.
What happens next? Now, I've heard that Elon Musk also wants to talk about defaulting on the U.S. debt. Maybe there's got to be some short-term pain, before we have long-term gain.
If we default on our debt, that will kill the greenback globally. You couldn't do that.
Which
is what
apparently, friend Putin might want. The whole
because then you have the BRICS
countries.
Yeah.
But anything, or they replace it all with crypto. I don't know. Crypto's
that's
Trump's got his crypto he's got his crypto platform. So and he's got a crypto exchange. I don't think maybe now his token's doing something, and Bitcoin's at an all-time high. What I said, which got me not excited but got me hopeful, is maybe now we'll laws that if you want to do something in the, I call crypto algorithm space or tokenization space of whatever, you can now have a law instead of the Howey rule, which it can be interpreted 87 different ways. So now you have a law that says, listen, you can have an exchange, you do this, you're going to do, and people are like, oh, okay, I can follow it. So now maybe, but in the back of my mind, I'm still like, every government has a digital currency, right? Everybody. China and India are said no crypto. And I'm just, and then one day if Trump gets mad at somebody and goes, you know what? I've decided that we're not going to do crypto anymore. Kill it all. And he does. All these crypto millionaires and billionaires are going to be poor the next day.
Yeah, like Sam Bankman-Fried all over again.
Yeah, but that's what I'm thinking. It's like, let's, at least if you're going to do it and we're going to push it, I'm all for it. But let's have some a book that says you do A, B, C all the way through Z. I'm like, cool. Now I know what to do. If I
like
want
you
to,
said, Z. You've been hanging out with the Brits more.
Adidas. I hang out with. I'm a global guy.
But wasn't Trump sort of totally anti-crypto until they said, well,
exactly.
How much would you like us if we paid some money towards your election campaign?
Yeah.
And then
he said, no more electricity. We have so much electricity for the crypto already. But I think the point that Stephen you're talking about was that Trump it's the same thing with the enemies list, because some friends of mine, former colleague Seth Meyers, we used to work together at Boom Chicago in Amsterdam, but now he's doing SNL and the late night with Seth Meyers, but he's in the top 3 that Trump tweeted out, truthed out on what Jimmy Kimmel's 1. I think Stephen Colbert was number 2. Maybe he just won each of the big 3 networks, the MSM networks, which will soon be outlawed in favor of YouTube and Facebook. But anyway, but that's the thing. Like, there's so much. Well, sorry. I guess I was saying that he's so unpredictable, and that's still that's kind of bad for business.
So what's this thing about YouTube and Trump? Then is he a YouTube supporter?
Sorry, what?
Is he a YouTube supporter then, Trump, or does he see it as the new way to communicate?
The new way. I mean, Barron Trump said, like, oh, you got to watch Theo Vaughn and you got to watch all these gamer videos. New Gen Z guys who are just getting their voting.
And not the old fogies on the legacy networks. We just plug out.
And I mean, Politico just had a pretty handy chart. They're like, I don't know if I can show it, but if you read newspapers, national network news, digital websites, cable news, then you're like pretty much super likely to vote Democrat or 50-50. But if your primary source of news is social media like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, I guess, YouTube or Google, or don't even follow political news, those are 50%, 55, 53% likely to vote for Republicans.
Wow.
So YouTube is it's great. There's no fact checkers. It's say whatever you want.
We do. We make up stuff all the time on all our shows. No,
there's an interesting thing happening in Amsterdam now. It's a side note, but I don't know if you want to hear about these pogroms and the Jewish.
They had a big riot last week where people got killed.
No one got killed, as far as I know. But there was some like terrible press about pogroms in Amsterdam again, and it happened to be on the anniversary of Kristallnacht, 7th of November. But so the interesting bit was that even like mainstream media really kind of missed they dropped the ball, on getting the full story the first time around, and I think they're still kind of struggling to figure out. So there was basically a football match between Maccabi Tel Aviv, Israel, and Ajax, Amsterdam Ajax. So these Maccabi fans, apparently many of whom were in the IDF like just months ago, there's a hardcore of these fans who go not just to the football matches, but like to the city center of places like Athens or Amsterdam. And they start like looking for trouble. And so that's what happened on Wednesday night. with the Maccabi fans who were caught on social media, like ripping down people's flags from their houses, beating up taxi drivers. So it's already like super sensitive subject right now. About Gaza protests, about like pro or anti memorial, for 7 October kind of thing. So it's already like a tinderbox, but these basically bad actors, these they're so bad. The Maccabi fans behaved very badly, and I think they first of all made a big enemy of this taxi driver. There's a whole taxi mafia here, so they retaliated on Thursday night after the football match, apparently, and so yeah, there was unfortunately a organized effort to hunt down the Maccabi fans, and that involved like pulling people aside on the street. Are you Israeli? Let me see your passport or whatever. And so that became like, are you Jewish? Let me see your papers.
Right.
Yeah, not a good look, especially on with the timing of it. The Kristallnacht, the pogroms in Germany, and so anyway,
but wasn't that fire was also stoked by Israeli newspapers? They were the first ones to call.
Oh, that could be. Yeah, I think that might be. And
the Dutch press picked up on it. I don't think they were clever enough to have seen that.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
So there was, and they had said before, look, guys, because these ultra groups, I mean, they go all around every football match, and they just go there, and they're all on Telegram and these sort of things beforehand. They already. All the fights are already organized. Where they're going to meet up and kick the crap out of each other.
And what's happening now? Apparently, so these riots are still continuing. Monday.
So I saw that last night was they destroyed a tram, setting it on fire.
And again, this is Amsterdam. The same thing happened in 1980 when the squatters, were fighting the police, and when they were protesting the cruise rockets, cruise missiles, and the monarchy. But anyway, it's still pretty tense around town. But anyway, I guess the point that I was trying to get at was the shifting kind of journalism, because some of the best journalism that has come out was this dude called Links Leaning or something on Instagram. And he's just, like not even this kind of, but like this, 9x16 filming. Someone else was on TikTok, and there's a dude called Bender on YouTube. And there's like 14-year-old kids that are doing really the best quantitative journalism, qualitative, I guess you could say. So yeah, that they're doing like more traditional journalism.
They're doing real journalism. I will say, I've noticed from the Financial Times to the New York Times to the Wall Street Journal to the Economist, I read them now. And I remember when I used to start reading them in the late 70s, early 80s. They were like real. Like that was real reading. Like these are real papers. I read them now, and it's kind of like, really? This is like, really? I don't care. Like I don't care about his sneakers, and I just read it. I'm like, how dumb is this? Sometimes the Financial Times will do what they call the big story, and that's usually pretty good. But the rest of it I read is kind of like crap. The Economist has got something called 1843, and that seems to be where the The Economist, they have a magazine called 1843, and that I get real stuff out of. I do this all digitally, of course, right? But the New York Times and even the Wall Street Journal now are just sort of like crap. And then Bloomberg,
both sides,
they're 50-50. And then if you watch Bloomberg, it's good because they're giving you kind of like it's the market's doing this, the market's doing that. It's kind of it is what it is. But the rest of it's just sort of like pandering to stupid. You know what I mean? And so
most of it's syndicated as well. That's the problem. This was one of the issues that came. I mean, I was watching, Van Dark Inside last night. There was a journalist on there complaining about it. That everybody's got the same stories.
Right.
They just tweaked a little bit because there's
echo chamber.
Because the two national newspapers, the Telegraph and the Algemeen Dagblad in Holland, they own most of the provincial papers. So if you don't pick it up nationally, you pick it up through your let's say regional newspaper with exactly the same dross as what's pushing out nationally. So
the Daily has done that.
So and that's one of the issues as well. Like real journalists
Yeah.
And nobody wants to. The thing is, nobody wants to read it. That's the thing. You know, it's all. Let's have a look. Oh yeah.
Anodyne, and trying to play middle of the road, meaning you're appealing to nobody anymore, really.
But we had a discussion yesterday, Stephen and I, about people's like we've seen now that people watch our shorts a lot, but we don't get a lot of comments. And when I was talking to people, some young people last Friday when we all went out, they said, "Yeah, we don't have time for that." so if they don't have time to read newspaper, they don't have time to watch news. They only have time to flip through Instagram, TikTok, and shorts.
Yeah.
But where would I have time to comment on something that's happening?
Yeah.
So even that it started to sort of be a bit of a platform where people could say stuff,
right,
and become interactive.
Yeah.
But that seems to, nobody's got time for it.
Crazy.
And there's just so much. There's so much more information to process all the time.
I still read my Financial Times like The Economist, like an idiot, cover to cover. Every day. The Financial, I just like it's. Granted, it's online, but I like to read it cover to cover. Yeah,
like a new world Christian.
Yeah, there you go. But I mean, at the end, and being Jewish, that's very fun for me. But at the end of the day, though, I still want to see what's going on. And I figure The Economist still, even though it's owned by the Japanese now, gives me the best coverage globally without dumbing it down. Everybody else seems to dumb it down because I guess people can't read and understand things. Yeah, they don't dumb it down. The Economist kind of dumbs it down a little bit. And then some stories they don't. I'm kind of like, don't play to this audience. Play to the people that actually have IQs. Like,
I guess so. Well, the Economist here, they finally endorsed Kamala Harris, and they really said, boy, if Trump does any of these plans for making the tax cuts permanent, for imposing tariffs, or deporting all of these low labor migrants, you're going to crash the economy, dude. What do we think?
I think if you're going to have internment camps like in the 40s, that will be interesting. Because, and I've said this on shows, my concern is if you do this, okay, 80 million, 100 million people voted for you. They're going to be behind you. There's a group that could care less, and there's a group that didn't vote for you. Right. But if you're going to start rounding up 11 million illegal, for lack of a term, immigrants or people that don't fall within your guideline.
Right.
At what point do you think that, to say, when you get the first couple million, to just say the other 6 or 7 go, you know what, screw you. And you start looking like South America, where they have riots in the streets and you have violence against the police.
I mean, specifically Venezuela, you can say it.
Yeah. All right, sorry. So, or Mexico, where they do, where the drug lords have shootouts with the cops and the cops lose. At what point do you think that they're going to just be like, you know what, it's okay, Donnie, we're going to go. Right. At some point, I think they're going to be like, you know what, screw you.
Yeah.
And that's where
they're going to leave?
No. I think they're going to fight back.
I see. Okay.
And so my point has always been, however Mr. Musk is talking about cutting Social Security and Medicare, and I'm like, really, you're going to piss off those people? You're screwed there, because a lot of them, they'll find you. And I'm like, so everything you're doing is pissing off everybody.
Yeah.
So,
if they go down the Venezuelan route, I mean, they could have Christmas now. I mean, the Venezuelans have changed. The president in Venezuela has changed the date of Christmas.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that. So, but my point is this: if you don't come up with a plan that's reasonable, right, and that you can say, he wants to cut 100,000. He wants to cut 100,000 federal employees. Okay, I understand his bureaucracy.
Yeah.
I go back to my original. How are we going to do it so it's a smooth, easy transition? Because if you don't, whether you have high inflation, you have riots, you have worse, you have to do something. Like a buddy of mine joked the other day, sent me a text. He goes, why is it Musk, since he has $230 billion, give every American over 18 $1 million? He says, I think that's 23 billion. He said he made 50 some odd billion as the CEO of Tesla. He said he won't even miss it. And this way, you can do everything you want to do. You already paid 130 million to be whatever you are in the government. Spend another, say, 30 billion by the American people, and they'll do whatever. They'll be like, go kick them out. We don't care. We got $1 million in the bank.
Right.
And I was like, that's very interesting because he has the wherewithal to technically go to the U.S. Treasury. I personally want to give everybody $1 million that's over 18.
Yeah.
Think about
that. Does he have the money? I mean.
Oh, does he have it in cash? You mean?
Yeah, he had. Yeah, I think he's probably got let's say he's $50 billion in cash. He's only going to spend, let's say, $30 billion.
Under the bed, you mean, in a box, something like that.
Well, like most people, they keep it at banks around the globe. But my point is, if I was going to do everything they're going to do, and I'm trying to keep the peace and not have riots or a civil war or something like that, you know what? I could, and whether they're poor or rich or they're billionaires, I'd go, you know what I'm going to do? Trump comes out his second day in office and says, you know what we're going to do for you American people, because we're going to get rid of all these undesirable people and we're going to make it blah, blah, blah. And there's going to be some tough times, but to make your life easier, you give everybody over 18 that filed a tax return last year type of thing, whether we're going to each give you $1 million. And Musk is going to write that.
Not $1 million.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden now, Elon writes his 23 or $30 billion check.
Right.
Everybody gets $1 million in their bank.
In crypto.
Now Trump can do
in crypto.
Whatever.
Be the way to do it.
No, I wouldn't do it in crypto. Because no one knows how to use it. That's the problem.
He could do it in crypto. He could do it.
But my point is, all of a sudden now, everybody in America will back whatever Trump and Musk say because
you can literally buy them. But after you've bought the election and you've bought the U.S. government, you might as well buy the American
the people. Because now everybody has money. So when it gets economically difficult, because $1 million, I mean, is not a lot of money. Like, even if they give it to you tax-free, it's not a lot. Think about it. $1 million, if you don't piss it away, and you and people that are just say they don't have anything, they may, well, I'm going to buy a house or a car. And when they're done, they'll have maybe a few $100,000 left, right? So, they're going to go bankrupt sooner than later. Other people are going to put it in the bank. Kids are going to pay off their loans, whatever it is. So $1 million is not going to be a lot. But what it does is, for just say the first 18 to 24 months where you have to, like, we're going to have a tough time.
$1 million.
You don't have a tough time, do you? I have $1 million tax free that, oh my God, the Trump administration through Elon gave it to me. I thought that was a very interesting hypothesis that he brought up. I was like, that's interesting.
I think that Greg hit the nail on the head, because it's, if Trump is going to be Santa, he could give everybody crypto money, saying, because I'm going to, I'm just going to make you all rich.
You just get 0.1 crypto and watch
it. Makes you zero.
Watch it appreciate.
And then I mean, that's the easiest way to do it, isn't it? That'd be a low.
$1 million, and here's why. Elon's got his, whether you want to buy his cyber garbage can, or you want to buy his robots, or you have to go buy food. Well, it's little things like food, medical things like that. But that $1 million, because when you start raising, and I guess people don't get this, when tariffs are charged, they don't realize that the Chinese government's actually not paying it; they're just passing it on. So when I buy something today for $1, and then you're going to raise tariffs to like $5, now I'm paying $10. Now that's what I'm saying. $1 million to survive in America isn't going to last that long.
No. Well,
so,
here
do you know what earlier in the show you said to me there's only one comedian on this particular broadcast, and now all of a sudden there's two, because you've turned into a communist, Stephen. So that's the funniest thing I've heard. Giving money away.
But that's they say it's communism. It's really totalitarianism. But
that's true. I'm trying to prevent.
It's got an ism on the end of it. That's the most important thing.
Let me do it this way. I'm trying to prevent. And when my friend told me this, we had literally a 2 or 3 hour dialogue about it over cigars and scotch, because we had to get on Zoom now and discuss it. I'm, to his point and to my point, I think I'm trying to prevent riots in the streets and a civil war and the military being called out on American people. So if I'm going to do if Mr. Trump's going to do what he said, and Elon's going to cut trillions of dollars, and listen, I'm okay with getting through bureaucracy and whatever, but if you do it properly, it's seamless. It's like everyone's going to be fine with it. If you don't do it properly, then it's not seamless. People that are fat and happy, if you will, whether it's the lower middle class, lower income, middle, whatever it might be, even the rich, at some point they get disgruntled, because Quinceañera, their maid, no longer here. Their gardeners no longer, right? But you have to round them all up. So if you can't make it worth the American public's while to round them all up, at some point, like these kids that don't know the difference between Palestine and Israel that are protesting in the United States, right? Those same idiots are going to be like, oh, we need to do something. You cross a line of peaceful demonstration to let's now go to the next level. And the next level is not pretty. And the United States has not really seen that. They've seen it in Harlem in the 60s. They saw it in the Watts riots in the 60s and 70s in LA. They saw it after the O.J. Simpson thing. They've never seen it nationally. And what I'm trying, and I don't really want to see tanks rolling down wherever I live, whatever street in America. So what I'm saying is his hypothesis of let's give $1 million, let Musk write the check. It's 23 or 30, whatever billion. Who cares? He doesn't. He'll make it up next week in another board that pays him stupid money.
Yeah.
And American people will be like, yeah, round up whoever. I don't care.
To sign all of the checks in the memo section. USA.
Yeah, right. Well, no, they just wire it to you. I'm assuming into your bank. But just
no, Trump is going to want to put his name on there. It has to be.
That's true. I guess everybody will get a check. But if you do it that way, and just play this through, all of a sudden you have $1 million in your bank.
Now it makes sense because
it's interesting, right?
All those people that he was going to cut out of the administration because there's so many of them, too many of them in local government, they can all be, writing out these checks, wouldn't they? And they just, write them out by hand. And
maybe
then
there's a golden parachute for everybody who gets the app.
There's your golden parachute.
Yeah. That's that. Oh, and they get paid in crypto. So I mean,
forget the crypto. I'm just saying most Americans don't understand crypto because it's difficult. You have to have 42 wallets, 17 passwords. It's a pain in the butt. And the banks right now aren't.
What?
That's crazy, right? And the banks aren't accepting crypto like they accept cash. So for this, they will. But once again, that's where these new laws come in. But for the next 24 months, while you're doing all this other stuff, like isolationists, tariffs, deporting, and you really need 300 million people or how many people are over 18 to get behind you.
I hope you and your friend are right. I hope everybody gets
I'm assuming we're not.
And I hope it's so cute that you think that anything that Trump does in the White House would be not chaotic. And
it'll be chaotic.
It'll be seamless. Maybe we got Susie Wiles this time. Maybe there's but
his buddy Steve something or other is the co-chief to her. The idiot from before with the big head, the bald head. So I think she's the adult in the room, and my buddy said to me, he goes, "How long do you think she'll last? Do you think she'll make it to the inauguration?" And I was like, so I'm like, I just need her to make it like 100 days after. I'd be happy. But I think it's going to be interesting. He picked Mark Rubio to do whatever he's going to do. He picked another guy.
Don't know what that means. Yeah. Do you think that Taiwan will go to China in the next 4 years? Because
that's a world war.
Not going to do anything.
Yeah, if we get out of the Pacific NATO, which we're part of, then no, China's going to be. This is open game. The problem is you have you have South Korea and Japan. And they're going to be like, no, I don't think so. You're threatening us now. So once again, there's this big global game. So yes, I know in our cute little euphoric world, everything would be seamless. Most likely in our cute little euphoric world, everything is going to be, as they say, in Yiddish, Hazarai, all crazy. And I don't see seamless. I see this like, remember the game of Risk we all played when we were kids?
Never get involved in a land war in Asia.
Right? But my point is, like in Risk, though, like 5-year-olds playing Risk. This is what this reminds me of now. It's like, I rolled the dice. Oh my God, look, I can, and it's like, this is the real world. Like people will die. And I'm kind of
maybe Trump will be able to see it out, but because of like 90% or certainly 90+% of all the chips that we need today are coming out of Taiwan.
Right.
But the Taiwanese factory, TM something on TMC.
TMCS.
Yeah, they haven't really got up to speed for the factory in Arizona. So once that's up and running. And they could, because that's the huge dynamic. They can't let Taiwan go while so many chips are still coming.
Well, Biden and the CHIPS Act. Thank goodness the chips are coming. The Dutch investments. The Dutch are investing big into the chips, Silicon Valley, Desert Valley, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they did that
ASML.
Trump did that. Trump is the one who brought the Taiwanese factory over here that never got built. And today in the financial, that was Trump back in 2016 or 15 or 17 or 18. They did the big land breaking and nothing happened. That wasn't a Biden thing. The other thing is today Amazon said they're trying to figure out how to do chips.
No, sorry.
That's the CHIPS Act was mental masturbation from the Democrats.
The CHIPS Act is now, but they've now said the Taiwanese company, we're not going to be selling any of these advanced chips to China. Right. ASML had been made. ASML from the Dutch, the chip makers chip machine for the machines to make chips. Are done made by this one country, a company in Holland. And they've done some sort of co-op with Intel, but Intel's behind the curve. So who knows? But until at least to get these factories up and running to any sort of speed that the Taiwanese are up to now was 6 or 7 years away from that.
So the Dutch, ASML, these are the people who make the machines that make the chips.
That make chips,
and then they lease them to Taiwan or whatever. I talked to a guy. I did a show at their campus in, Eindhoven, Veldhoven.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a guy after the show, and I said, what do you do here? Everybody's here so highly educated. It's like a brain port. It's like they're getting the best and brightest from all over the world to do all this high-tech stuff. And so he said, I do fire prevention. And I thought, oh, well, okay, that's cool. Someone has to run the fire drills. And he said, no, fire prevention. Like we're creating reactions that are hotter than the surface of the sun. So I have to make sure that we have a complete vacuum, because if there's even one speck of dust, then it could be like a, what did he say? Like a catastrophic chain reaction that would
maybe destroy the world,
blow up an entire city. Like fire prevention, right? So it's a high risk, high reward, high safety, high tech. I can imagine that it takes a long time.
But of course, the American government put so much pressure on ASML, so they can't supply new chip making machines to China. That's now. That's done and dusted. They can support ones which are already there. And the Chinese have tried to emulate the ASML machines and haven't been able to. So there's a lot of stuff resting on this. And I think while Taiwan is still supplying, 90% of the world's chips that we all need, and not necessary to eat this time, then I think America's good, whoever it is, has to hold their hand over the as an umbrella of safety over Taiwan.
Amazon said today in the Financial Times that they are now trying to outdo Taiwan in chip making, because Amazon does everything. So, and then we invest in AI companies and chip companies on our side, so we kind of know what's out there. And I'm kind of like, all you have to do is go partner with these guys. They're already ready to go. And Amazon's like, we're going to come in new. And like, I always joke, I'm like, we got a company that can make a chip that runs 33 times faster than the fastest chip right now. And it uses 1,000th less power than the chips that are out now. And they've got patents, and they're talking to different universities and governments, but all these big companies are like, we're going to do a new chip and we're going to do this. I'm like, really? I can make 2 phone calls and you can do it tomorrow. And they're all kind of trying to come up with stuff, but they all have their head up there, but they're all trying to figure out how they just make more money than the next. And it's
this is getting back to the good news that I keep trying to circle back to. And I got a couple examples to round us off before we go.
Yes.
But indeed, the chips that are super efficient and use less power, like that's what we're talking about. These could be the game changers, that we look back 30 years from now and think like, Betamax versus VHS, Betamax was a better technology. Oh, too bad. But hopefully we get it right.
But they didn't like porn. That's why the reason they lost the battle.
I guess. Yeah, that might be. So here's one more. What do you want? This is fun news. Banana peels can be used for textiles and fuel. There's a portable wind turbine that can charge your phone in 20 minutes.
Cool.
I thought that that's just hey, Elon, give one of those.
Is that a bit big to put in your pocket though? And
it's not a huge wind turbine. It's actually like, I think you could fit it in your pocket. This guy set it up on a tripod and like a collapsible tripod, and it's small enough for like the front pouch of your backpack, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, there's a whole new thing. We talked about fuel with sustainable aviation fuel, synthetic aviation fuel, but there's a car that can now run on raw sewage, poop, I guess.
Go work with that.
An H2 car. But what else?
It's called a Tesla.
Yeah, right. They're capturing CO2, and what do you do with it? Well, now apparently you can turn the captured CO2 into fuel. And this was in Japan, I think. So, David, when you were talking about hopefully the exhaust from the airplane can be turned into the fuel, it's like a Mr. Neutron from Back to the Future. We might be closer to that than I thought. And also, 8 ounces of this new powder from a laboratory in Alberta, Canada. I think they can remove as much CO2 from as a tree in a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, right. So these new technologies for not only reducing CO2 emissions, but removing, existing CO2 from the atmosphere, which also has to happen. Otherwise, it's like humidifier, dehumidifier. Then there's whole new technologies that are maybe just coming online. So, and if we can do something with the CO2 that we
the other really green one that I heard a couple of weeks ago is that they're using old mine shafts. We've dug mines over the whole world. Yeah. And it works on a simple process. It just basically it's a heavy weight that goes down.
The battery, the gravity battery.
Yeah, as it produces this electronic charge, and that to pull it back up again is only a quarter of what they need, and the rest they use for the system. So all these extinct coal mines and the coal mine workers, who had nothing to do. Green industry is potentially there on your doorstep again.
Yeah. I mean, they're talking about capturing methane from these old mines, and one of them in Alsace-Lorraine in France contained a whole lot of white hydrogen, apparently, like naturally occurring hydrogen. Like, that's
so it's unracist to racist.
Exactly, it's very racist hydrogen, but we have to tolerate that now. It's in.
Politically correct.
Yeah. But anyway, so those are that's another good example. So I was going to wrap up on that since we're about.
I like that. Well, Greg, it's always good to see you. Before we wrap up officially, tell everybody where you're everywhere. So tell everybody where you are if they want to see you or whatever. And hopefully next month, which all we're going to talk about next month is positive news and climate change.
Yay! Why not? The Netherlands is where I'm based right now, so I'm doing a bunch of shows all over the Netherlands, and I indeed can be seen on America's Funniest Home Videos, the Dutch market edition. My voice will appear, which is a pretty fun gig, I gotta say. More than that, I am.
When's that gig? Because I looked at the weekend and you weren't on. You're not on yet, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
At the moment, they have a mix, I think, of not Bob Saget, but the guy after Bob Saget, and then this Alfonso guy who. Right. But anyway, it's in the Dutch market. It's getting to be exclusively just one voice. Hello.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. There's we have to schedule some more sessions, I think, because we have all the rest of the season to do still. Anyway, but so I'm either doing solo show or stand-up gigs all around the Netherlands, based in Amsterdam mostly.
Very cool. And the next 3 solo shows, I know you're doing one tomorrow night in.
Oh yeah, what is it? Briel, and then Utrecht, and then outside of The Hague.
Very cool. Well, if you're in Amsterdam or the Netherlands and you would like to see Mr. Greg, please go see him. And when you see him, tell him you saw him here. He won't care. Just tell him that. Just makes us feel better. And anyway, we will see. There you go. We will see him next month. And next month, we'll talk all about the good climate news. The election is over. Unless something stupid happens, we'll talk about that. But if not, all the good climate stuff that's out there. And maybe he'll do some more Trump for us. And then that's it. Greg, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
And we look forward to seeing you next month, and have a great rest of your tour.
All right. Yeah, thanks. I'm looking forward to it.
Cheers, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye, everybody.